you're lying in bed. The room is dark, you're almost asleep. And then, out of nowhere, your brain decides to replay that moment from 7 years ago when you tripped in front of everyone at school, or that time you called your teacher mom, or that joke you made at a party that landed completely wrong. Your whole body tenses, you physically cringe, and you wonder why. Why does my brain keep replaying these moments when I'm just trying to exist in peace? The truth is, your brain isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you. And to understand why, we need to talk about something psychologists call the spotlight effect. When something embarrassing happens, it feels massive. In that moment, it's like every eye in the room is on you, analyzing your mistake, judging you, remembering it forever. The silence feels louder. The stares feel sharper. Time seems to slow down, and all you want is for the ground to open up and swallow you whole. But here's what research shows. Most people barely notice, and even if they do, they forget almost immediately, because they're too busy worrying about their own embarrassing moments. Think about it. Can you remember the last time someone else did something awkward in front of you? Maybe, but how often do you think about it? Probably never. You moved on within minutes, maybe even seconds. But when it happens to you, it's different. The memory burns itself into your mind. You replay it at random moments. In the shower, while you're driving, right before you fall asleep. It comes back uninvited, unwanted, but impossible to ignore. But you don't forget. You replay it. Over and over. Because your brain has a specific job. To keep you safe. And part of staying safe, from an evolutionary perspective, is staying accepted by the group. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your tribe could mean death. No tribe meant no protection, no food, no survival. So your brain developed a system to help you avoid rejection. It remembers social mistakes. It highlights them. It makes sure you feel them deeply, so you'll be careful not to repeat them. That's why embarrassing memories feel so vivid. They're not just memories, they're warnings. Your brain is saying, remember this feeling. Remember what happened, don't do it again. It's running a program designed to keep you socially safe, to keep you connected, to make sure you don't get cast out. And even though we don't live in tribes anymore, even though social rejection won't actually kill us, the brain hasn't updated its software. It still treats every awkward moment like a potential threat to your survival. And there's something else happening too. Embarrassing moments create what psychologists call emotional arousal. When you feel a strong emotion, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones don't just make you feel bad in the moment. They actually strengthen the memory. They make it stick. Your brain is essentially saying, this matters. Pay attention, remember this. So the more embarrassed you felt, the more likely you are to remember it years later. The intensity of the emotion becomes the glue that holds the memory in place. It's the same reason you remember your first kiss, or the day you got in a car accident, or the moment you heard devastating news. Strong emotions create strong memories. Your brain prioritizes them because it assumes they're important. And in the case of embarrassment, your brain thinks, this is important. This is something we need to avoid. It doesn't matter that objectively, the moment wasn't important. It doesn't matter that no one else remembers. What matters is how you felt. And that feeling gets archived, indexed, and stored for easy retrieval. But here's where it gets complicated. Because even though your brain is trying to help, it often overestimates the danger. It treats an awkward comment at a dinner party the same way it would treat an actual threat. It sounds the alarm. It replays the footage. It keeps you up at night. Even though, logically, you know it doesn't matter anymore. Your rational mind knows that stumbling over your words during a presentation 3 years ago has zero impact on your life today. But your emotional brain doesn't care about logic. It cares about patterns. It cares about threats. And it's convinced that embarrassment is a threat worth remembering. And the worst part? The more you try not to think about it, the more you think about it. Psychologists call this the rebound effect. When you tell yourself, don't think about that embarrassing thing, your brain has to remember the embarrassing thing in order to avoid it. So it comes back again and again. It's like telling someone not to think about a pink elephant. The moment you say it, that's all they can think about. Your brain works the same way. Suppression doesn't work. It backfires. The memory becomes more intrusive, not less. There's also something called the fading affect bias. Over time, most of our memories lose their emotional intensity. Happy memories fade, sad memories fade. The sharp edges soften. The colors dull, but embarrassing memories, they fade slower because your brain holds on to them longer. It keeps them sharp, just in case you need the lesson again. It's like your brain has a filing system, and embarrassing moments get marked as important, do not delete. So while other memories from that same time period have faded into vague impressions, the embarrassing ones remain crystal clear. And if you're someone who replays embarrassing moments more than others, it might be tied to something deeper. People with social anxiety, for example, tend to have what's called a post-event processing habit. After a social interaction, they mentally review everything they said and did, searching for mistakes. They replay conversations word by word. They analyze facial expressions, tone of voice, body language. They convince themselves that everyone noticed their awkwardness, even when no one did. They build entire narratives around tiny moments that no one else even registered. This isn't just occasional reflection. It's compulsive, it's exhausting, and it's rarely based on reality. But the brain doesn't care about reality in these moments. It's running on an old program, designed for a world where social rejection was life or death. A world where being laughed at or excluded could mean real danger. And even though that world doesn't exist anymore, the programming remains. There's another layer to this too. Some embarrassing memories stick around because they clash with how we see ourselves. We all carry an internal image of who we are. Maybe you see yourself as competent, or funny, or put together. And then something happens that contradicts that image. You freeze up during a speech. You say something ignorant. You trip and spill coffee all over yourself. And suddenly there's a gap between who you think you are and what just happened. That gap creates discomfort. And your brain doesn't like discomfort. So it keeps bringing the memory back, trying to reconcile the two versions of you, trying to make sense of it, trying to integrate the mistake into your self-concept. Sometimes the memory isn't even about the event itself. It's about the shame that came with it. Shame is different from embarrassment. Embarrassment is about something you did. Shame is about who you are. Embarrassment says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am a mistake. And when shame gets attached to a memory, it becomes much harder to let go. Because now it's not just about what happened. It's about what it means. It's about identity. And identity feels permanent. So what do you do with this? How do you stop your brain from dragging you back to moments that don't matter anymore? First, you recognize what's happening. You're not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's trying to protect you. The problem is it's overreacting. It's treating a small social mistake like a survival threat. And once you see that, the memories lose some of their power. You stop fighting them. You stop feeling like there's something wrong with you for having them. You understand that this is just how the brain works. It's clumsy sometimes, it's overly cautious, but it's not malicious. It's not trying to ruin your life. It's just doing its job badly. Second, you remember that no one else is thinking about it. This is hard to believe because it feels so real to you. The memory is so vivid, so painful, that it seems impossible that other people have forgotten. But studies show that people overestimate how much others notice and remember their mistakes. By a lot. You think everyone is replaying your awkward moment, but they're not. They've moved on. They're thinking about their own lives, their own mistakes, their own embarrassing moments. They're lying in bed cringing at something they did, and they're probably not thinking about you at all. Your brain remembers embarrassing moments because it thinks it's helping you. It thinks it's keeping you safe, keeping you accepted, keeping you from making the same mistake twice. And in some ways it is. Those memories taught you something. They shaped how you interact with the world. They made you more careful, more aware, more considerate. They're part of your growth, even if they don't feel that way. But they don't deserve the power you've given them. They don't deserve to pull you out of sleep, or ruin your day, or make you feel small. Because here's the truth. You are not your most awkward moment. You are not the sum of every embarrassing thing you've ever done. You're not the person who tripped on stage, or said the wrong thing, or laughed too loud at the wrong time. You're a person trying to navigate a complicated world, and sometimes you stumble. Everyone does. The difference is, most people aren't watching. Most people don't remember. And the ones who do, they're too busy cringing at their own memories to judge you for yours. They're replaying their own footage, their own mistakes, their own moments of wishing they could disappear. So the next time your brain drags you back to that moment, just notice it, acknowledge it, and then remind yourself, this is old footage. This is not happening now. I'm safe, I'm okay, and I'm allowed to move on. The moment has already passed. It doesn't exist anymore except in your mind, and you get to decide how much space it takes up there. You get to decide when it's time to let it go. You're not broken for remembering. You're just human. And being human means carrying a few embarrassing memories with you. But it also means you get to choose what you do with them. You can let them haunt you, or you can let them remind you that you've survived every awkward moment so far, and you'll survive the next one too. There's a specific study that demonstrates this beautifully. Researchers had participants wear an embarrassing t-shirt to a room full of people. Afterward, the participants estimated that about half the people in the room noticed the shirt. In reality, fewer than a quarter did. We consistently overestimate how much attention people are paying to us. We live in our own heads, where every mistake feels enormous. But to everyone else, we're background noise. And that's actually freeing, because it means most of our embarrassing moments exist only in our own minds. Third, you practice self-compassion. When the memory comes up, instead of cringing and spiraling, you talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a friend. You say that was awkward, but it's okay. Everyone has awkward moments, it doesn't define me. And then you let it go. Not by forcing it away, but by acknowledging it without judgment. You treat yourself with kindness instead of criticism. You recognize that being human means being imperfect. And imperfection isn't something to be ashamed of. It's just part of the deal. Self-compassion doesn't mean pretending the moment didn't happen. It doesn't mean lying to yourself and saying it wasn't embarrassing. It means accepting that yes, it was embarrassing and also it's okay. Both things can be true. You can acknowledge the discomfort without letting it define you. You can say, that happened. I felt bad, and now I'm moving forward. You don't have to carry it with you forever. And finally, you give it time. The more distance you get from the moment, the less it will sting. The emotional charge will fade. Not because you've forgotten, but because your brain will eventually decide it's not a threat anymore. It'll file it away. It'll stop sounding the alarm. The memory might still come up occasionally, but it won't have the same weight. It won't make your stomach drop. It'll just be a thing that happened once, a long time ago. Time doesn't heal all wounds, but it does dull them. And with embarrassing memories, that dulling is enough. You don't need the memory to disappear completely. You just need it to stop hurting. And it will, slowly, quietly, without you even noticing. One day, you'll think about that moment and realize it doesn't make you cringe anymore. It's just there, neutral. Powerless. Just another memory in a long list of moments that make up your life.